Toby's monthly salary was increased by 5% this year. His monthly salary before the increase was $1,400. And find his after. Okay, so to increase by 5%, we got to think about what that means. If you increase by 5%, it's basically 105%, right? So what is 105% of 1,400? And so we can put this into a decimal form. Remember that a percentage is really something over 100. So 105 over 100. Actually, I'll rewrite this below. Yeah, so this is 105 over 100. Multiplied by 1,400. And then we can cancel these out, and it just becomes 105 times 14, which is something along the lines of 1,490. No, yeah, I think is it 1,490? I might be doing, no, it's 1,470. My bad. Sorry. So, 1,470. Yeah. Yeah, number 6 should be 1,470. Basically, the way that you have to solve that is by identifying that to increase something by 5% is the same thing as 105% of that thing. You can also see 105%, so you could go this route, or you can figure out that this is like 1.05 multiplied by 1,400, which is like the same thing as here. You just like solve it differently. If you want to, you can like do multiplication here. Get rid of the decimal, we slide it 2 places, so we just have to remember this goes 2. We solve all it, whatever, and then we end up with 14. We end up with this, and we have to slide it back over 2, so we get 1,470. So you can do that as well. We just end up with 1,470. I'll go over number 8 as well. All right, so question number 8 is, Marilyn bought 1.6 kilograms of ground meat. Give me a sec, my screen snip isn't working. She used 350 grams to make meatballs and 80% of the remainder to make hamburgers. How many grams of ground meat did she have left? So if we start with 1.6 kg, that is the same thing as 1,600 grams, right? And then she used 350. That means we would be left off with 1,100. I cannot do math today, can I? And that means she's left off with 1,250 grams. And she used 80% of the remainder. And how much did she have left? So if we have 1,250 and we minus 80% of it, that means we're left over with 20%, right? So what this is really asking us is what is 20%, because that's the remainder, like the remainder of the amount after you take the other remainder. So like it gets a bit confusing with the wording, but I'm trying to like say the final amount is 20% of this number here. So 20% of 1,250, which would be 250. Once again, you can convert 20% into a decimal or a fraction. Just make sure you get 250 at the end. I will actually go over number 9 as well. Yeah, I think I'll go over number 9. So for number 9, Rachel went to the market with $80. She spent 15% on vegetables and 50% of the remainder on meat. How much did she spend on meat? So if she starts with 80 and she spends 15% on vegetable and 50% of the remainder, how much did she spend on meat? Okay, so let's start off by finding this is her total amount of money. She spends 15% on vegetables. And then of the remaining, she spends half of 50% of each, right? But keep in mind, this is out of 85%. So we're going to have to work on that. So first off, what is the remainder? What is this in 80? So this is 85% of 80. And 85% of 80, you can solve this a variety of ways. Let's see. But the answer is 68. And then this is the remainder. So this part right here is 68. Now we're gonna take 68 and we're gonna spend 50% on meat. So that's half. So we're going to be spending, oh wait, it just asks how much on meat. So the answer should be 34, I think. That looks like it should be the correct answer, but it doesn't look like many people got it. So I'm gonna double check that one quickly. Yeah, so the answer should be 34 here because we're spending 15% on vegetables, which means that we will be left with $68 to spend on meat and other stuff. And we asked how much of meat, and it's of the remainder. So yeah, our answer should be 34. Moving on into the workbook. Let's see what the homework was for that. It was exercises 16, 17, and 18. I'll see how you guys did on those. All right, so it looks like exercise 16 everyone got. Exercise 17 was pretty easy as well. I'll go over exercise 18 because word problems are usually a bit more difficult. Word problems, you just get better at them over time because it's like you have to understand what the words really mean in a numerical way. Give me 1 minute. All right, back to this exercise 11, 12, and 13. Exercise 18. Yeah, sorry, I have to switch back to that. All right, so for exercise 18, we have 3 questions. We're going to do them all. Well, one with 2 parts. First off, Amina had $120. She spent 20% of the money on food and 25% of the remaining on clothes. And the question is, the first question, what percentage of the money did she have left? And the second part is, how much money did she have left? So, I mean, we can solve both of these problems in a single thing, right? So first off, she had 120, right? Now we're going to take 20% out for clothing, for food, and then we're going to have a remainder. Let's solve the remainder first, okay? And of this, we're going to take 25% for clothes. And then she'll have 20%, which is left. And then this is our final value, which we're trying to solve. Because like that's what they're asking for. So first, let's solve for the question mark. So if she spent 20% on food, that means she spent 1/5 on food. She spent 0.2 on food. I mean, you can put it a lot of different ways, right? But ultimately, you just have to realize that she has $96 left after clothing. All right. Now let's see how much she has left after clothes. So if she spends 25% on clothes, that's the same as 1/4. It's the same as 0.25. You can use either one. But you have to realize that she has $24 left. If she has $24 left, that should just be the answer to B. So 1B is just 24. Oh. Wait, I think I'm wrong here. No, I'm wrong. My bad. Sorry, yeah, she spends, she spends 24 on clothing. She spends, that's my bad. Yeah, she spends 24 on clothing. The leftover should be 72. Yeah, so she has 72 left. That should be the answer. For part B, 1B should be 72. Right? Yeah, okay. And then what percent did she have left? And so 72 over 120. No, 72 is what percent of 120? So the way you can solve this is by first putting it into a fraction and then or into a decimal, and then from there you can convert it to a percentage. So 72 over 120 is, scroll down a bit. 72 over 120 is equivalent to 18 over 30 and 9 over 15 and 3 over 5. Yeah, all right, so 3 over 5, which is the same thing as 60%. So yeah, so there should be 60% left. Yep, 60% left. That's how you had to solve this problem. So it helps to draw out like a chart of where all the money's going, and then you can solve each value one by one until you find like the final answer. And for the second question, For the second question, we have, there were 1,500 people at a concert. 55% of them were men. 20% of the remainder were women. Okay, so the screen share thing just decided to crash. So I'm sorry about that. I'm going to reopen it. Give me a quick second. Let's see. See if it wants to cooperate this time. All right, looks like I have it. Screen share should be back up. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah. So the final question is, there were 1,500 people at a concert. 55% of them were men, 20% of the remainder were women, and the rest were children. How many children were there? So once again, we can draw like a little flow chart. We're gonna start with 1,500. This is the total. 55% were men. And then let's solve the remainder. This is women plus children, but let's solve what this is first. So first of all, I want to point something out. I think a mistake some of you are making is when you see 1,500, you say 50% were men, 20% were women, and then what is children? And then you're going, oh, wait, these two are 75, so there's 25% is children, therefore there were 250. And then you're going, that means that they have 375 children. I think that's some of your thought processes, which, like, that's not how you do it. You can't just add them together. You can't just add these together because keep in mind, when they say 20% were women, that doesn't mean of 1,500. It means of the remainder. So you can't just add the fractions. You can't just add the percentages together. Okay. So first we can solve this. So 55 over 100, or you can do 0.55. Either of these work. Just manage to fit. Just multiply 1,500 by it, and you should get 825. So our remainder is 825. And of this, 20% is women, and then the rest are children. So we're going to find this question mark now. So this is the same thing as 80%. Wait, no, I messed this up, sorry. This shouldn't be 825. This is 825. This over here is, sorry about that. I'll erase this quickly. This should be 675 over here. Yeah. And so 20% of 675 and 80%, because they have to add up to 100. So 80% of 675 is 540. So the answer would be 540 children. So it looks like some people got 540, which is very good. Yeah, so for these percentage questions, the main takeaway, well, there's two main takeaways, I'd say. Firstly, you should be very careful with, when they're telling you blank percent goes to this, and then of the remainder, more percent goes to something else. You got to know when to use percentages and like when to add them together. So just to give an example, if I say I have 10 marbles, and then there's two instances. In one, 50% red, 50% of the not of the remainder. Wait, no, sorry, this is a bad way to word it. I have $10, let's say that. If I have $10 and I spend 50% on, actually I'll type this, that should make it easier. Make this a bit smaller. Compared to compare this one to okay, so I want everyone to send me the answers to both of these questions in chat. They're different questions, keep in mind. Okay, send me question A and question B. Okay, can you send me? I send them to me in a single message. So just like go A blank and then B blank. Whenever you send me the answers to that. All right, so you guys are having trouble already. I'm gonna go over this. So basically, the difference is of what you are spending. Here we have $10, okay? I'm gonna represent them as circles. We spend 50% on chocolate, okay? So all of these get spent on chocolate. Of the remainder, so we're choosing from here. Of this, I don't know what I'm doing. Of this area here, we spend 20%, which is equivalent to 1 on candy. So we have 4 left. Meanwhile, in the bottom space, we spend 50% on chocolate, same as above, and we spend 20% on candy. But this 20% is from the whole area, so we're taking 2, because 20% of 10 we're taking from this whole place is 2, so we would end up with 3. So the answer should be 4 and 3. All right, I want to make sure everyone understands that. The key in this first problem is it says of the remainder. And that means we're taking 20% from only this section because all of this has already been spent. All right, so moving on, we're now going to start working on a few percentages of percentage questions. These questions shouldn't be too difficult. Oops, I should be on this, sorry. Just send me like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, questions 1 to 4. So I'm just waiting for a few more answers, but yeah. Okay, can you please send the answers in a single message? Because if I get 10 different, if I get 4 answers from every person, I'm ending up with 16 answers, and it's way too much for me to look at. Because it's like I have to scroll, and there's a small chat box, so just like make sure to send them in a single batch. Okay. So looks like everyone has the people who have sent me the answers so far have looked to have the hang of it. I just want to make point out another little thing about wording. By what percentage was the membership increased? The answer to this question is 20%. It is not 120%. Because if you asked what is the percentage compared to like the previous year, that would be 120%. But by increase, they mean like how much was added, and it was and it's 20%. Like that's just wording. You gotta be careful about stuff like that. All right, waiting for one more set of answers, and then we're good. Okay, so I'll go over some of these. Right. So what we're gonna figure out first is we have to like for the first question. We are going to have to figure out. We can't really do hours into minutes. We got to figure out a different way of putting it. So 2 hours is 120 minutes, right? Because an hour is 60 minutes, and so they're basically asking what percentage of 120 minutes is 30 minutes. And so since this is 1/4, we know this is 25% because 25% is equivalent to 25 over 100. Give me a sec, gotta move that back. Yeah, 25% is equivalent to, why is my pen not working? Is equivalent to 25 over 100, which is the same thing as 1/4, right? So, yeah, that's how we have to do these questions. So what you're gonna do is you find the smaller number and put it into the bigger number. Well, you put the number that's being put into another number, and then you have to simplify it into a fraction, which you can make into a percentage. For example, here we have 30 over 120, which is the same as 1/4, which is the same as 25 over 100. So 25 over 100, that's 25%. Because remember, a percent is really just over 100. So percent actually means per means like for every. So for example, people might say like something per something else because it's like for every, and cent means 100, like right, like how many cents are in a dollar? There's 100. 100 years is called a century. In the Roman military, the person who led 100 troops was called a centurion, right? So whenever you see a percent, just realize it's out of 100. Out of 100, as in like, it's literally just a fraction out of 100. So for the second question, It went from 200 to 150. Actually, I'm writing this wrong. It went from 200 to 150. By what percentage was the price reduced? It was reduced $50, but it's asking what percentage. So what over 100? So 50 over 200, because when it's reduced, that means like what was the original thing? 200, and how much was it reduced? 50. So it was reduced 50 over 200, which is the same thing as what over 100? Well, it's the same thing as 25 over 100. So the answer would be 25. Right? Yeah, it would be 25. So the answers to the first two questions would both be 25. For the next question, I kind of like said the answer already, but I'll go over it. It had 80 last year and has 96 this year. By what percentage was it increased? Well, how many people did it increase? First, we have to like find the actual number itself before we do the percentage. It was increased by 16 people because it started at 80 and it went to 96. So basically, what was the original number? The original number was 80. So it increased by 16 over 80, which is what percent? Well, percent is over 100. So 80 equals what over 100? So to do this, sometimes you can just directly put it in. For example, on the previous question, we could just divide by 2. But here, we're going to have to do bits of simplifying. So we're going to take 60 over 80, and then we're going to make it into like, I don't know, 4 over 20. And now we can multiply it by 5 to get 20 over 100. So the answer should be 20%. Yeah, the answer should be 20%. And for the last question, it went from 12 to 15. So basically, it increased $3. And this is it started at 12 actually. Yeah, because it's asking of the original price. Usually, 90% of the time, the top number in a percent is going to be the change. Sometimes it's a decrease, sometimes it's an increase. Regardless, though, the top number is the change, and the bottom number is the original thing. So here it just tells you, original thing. The original was 12, so it would be 3 over 12, which is the same thing as 1 over 4, which is the same thing as 25 over 100. So the answers to these questions would be 25, 25, 20, and 25. All right, moving on. This is a method. We can just skip that. We don't need to know methods. Review C. All right, I'll give you some questions from the review C. That seems like a good idea. I'm going to start you off with an easy question. Just answer A, B, C, or D. While I find some good questions here. All right, so after everyone gives me their letter, you can move on to question 1. This is going to be question 1. I know there's numbers here, but no questions. Don't worry, I'll put the questions in a second. Oops, my bad. All right, 4 questions. Yeah, so you can set yes. You can send me the letter, like you can send me actually never mind. Just make sure that you send the bottom four questions in a single message. I'm okay if you send the letter by itself, because like I definitely I clearly know which one the letter is because you know it's a letter. Okay, so we're having a bit of difficulty on these. Let me see. So wait, so we got C, D, D, B. All right, so I will start out by going over question, like the beginner question, like I don't know, question zero, whatever I would call this. I don't know. I'll call it question zero. Yeah. So which is the same as 0.6. So we got a decimal, we got fractions. Okay. So how do we do this? Well, what we're gonna have to do is convert one into the other. We can do decimal into fraction, or we can do fraction into decimal. All right, let's do both methods. Decimal into fraction. Let's take the 0.6 and make it into a fraction. 0.6 is the same thing as what? It's the same thing as 6 over 10. Because you know that's what, yeah. The place is called tenths for a reason. Like there's tenths and then hundredths and then thousandths. They're all just like, you know, out of 10 or out of whatever they are. So 0.6 is the same thing as x over 10. This is the same thing as 3 over 5. And oh, look, that's an answer choice. Fraction into decimal. This method's a bit slower. I wouldn't recommend doing it. Just see whichever one does the least work, right? So why would you convert 4 to the same thing as 1 when you can convert 1 to the same as 4, right? Change as little things as possible. So fraction into the decimal is slow, but I'll do it anyways. So we have 1/2, which becomes 0.5. Why does it become 0.5? Well, 1/2, let's make it, so we have to turn 1/2 into some sort of, we have to make the denominator a multiple of 10. But no, sorry. It has to be like a power of 10. So 10, 100, 1,000, something like that. So 1/2, we can make that into a power of 10 by multiplying it by 5. That becomes 5 over 10, which is the same thing as 1/2. Wait, no, sorry. We're doing decimals. 5 over 10 is the same thing as 0.5, but we're looking for 0.6. So this is clearly not the answer, right? 1 2/3. This is actually a bit more difficult. It ends up becoming 0.666. Repeating. So this is why like it's easier to do this. This is why it's easier to do decimal to fraction. I won't explain why it becomes 0.66666. because like that gets really complicated. 3/4 goes to 75/100, which is 0.75. And then 3/5 goes into 6/10, which is 0.6, which is our answer. So, 3/5 is our answer. Question 2. 3 boys collected 7. Let's see if anyone had trouble on this one, actually. Well, second question 1, actually. Huh. All right, so for question 1, 3 boys collected 75. These are the dots are boys, and then the number below is how much they collected. And 2 boys collected 30. And find the average weight of newspaper collected by each boy. Well, how do we do that? Well, we add them all together. So we have 5 boys collecting 105. And so that means each boy carried an average of 21. Yeah, so the answer should have been 21. Right? I'm not going crazy, am I? That should be, yeah, that's pretty easy. You just got to figure out each boy, the average. It should just be 21. Because, okay, so I think a mistake that some people made is they thought each person collected 75. No, the 3 of them in total collected 75. So once again, the way you solve averages is you find the total, the amount of people that did it, the total is 105, the amount of people who did it is 5, and you divide it, and you get 21. Question 2 is a bit more difficult. When it's 2/5, so 2/5 of the tank, plus 26 is actually the inconvenient because it's T looks like a plus sign. I'll just write it as X. 2/5 X is the tank. 2/5 X plus 26 equals 5/6 X. And then what is X? Well, how can we solve this? First off, we gotta make the fractions like. We gotta work with them. And they're not very cooperative. So for the lowest common denominator, right, the number we should make it into is the number that they're both divisible by. In this case, we should use 30. We multiply this by 6, we multiply this by 6, we get 12. So these two are the same thing. And then we do the same thing over here. And so what we're able to figure out by this is if we do some algebra here, we subtract 12, 30x from both sides. Then we end up with 26 equals 13 30ths. And then here we can multiply, x. Yeah, and here you can multiply both sides by 30. And then we would get 780 equals 13x. We divide both sides by 13. We end up with 60 equals x. So the capacity of the tank is 60. Yeah, so the answer should be 60. Then the Henry question. Discount is 20%, but discount is 90 cents. How much did he pay for the book? Well, if the discount was 20%, if this is the original price, 20%, basically 1/5 got knocked off. And this is the same thing as 90 cents. So the total is a bunch of 90 cents. It's in nines, by the way. So the total is 4.5. Wait, no, my bad. The total cost of the original cost would be $4.50, but since he got a 90-cent discount, he would be paying $3.60. Right? Because the discount is 20% and the discount is 90 cents, right? So those two are the same thing. That means 90 cents is 20%. And if 90 cents is 20%, 90 cents is 1/5. If 90 cents is 1/5, then the total is, 5 times 90 cents, which is $4.50. But that's not our final answer because it's how much did he pay, and he got the discount. So if he got the discount, we have $4.50, but we have to subtract the 90-cent discount. And then we end up with this $3.60 answer. The last question. A shop sold 1,600 liters of paint last week. This week it sold 2,000. By what percent was the sales increased? The increase in sale was 400 liters of paint, and the original was 1,600. So the answer is 25%. Right? No, I am wrong. Am I? No, I'm correct. Yeah. Some people might have taken 200, 400 over 2000. Keep in mind it's over the original, so it should be 25%. Yeah, so we had a bit of trouble on those problems. So your homework this week is going to include quite a few of those. Moving on. We could start speed. Let's see. All right, yeah. So next week we're gonna start speed. For now, we're just gonna do a bunch of review. We're gonna start off with, let's see, practice 4E. We're gonna start off with the first 4 questions. We're gonna do these in blocks so we can review them easily. Just these 4 for now. So if you've already done it, then it just works out really easily because, you know, it's much easier if you've done the questions already. What do I normally call homework? Let's see, homework, and then the week name. Got it.